I would not stop mentioning Rui Hachimura to start the season. And I spent a lot of time. I really, really believe this, that he's a very important piece. Maybe not as important as D'Lo, maybe not as important as Austin Reeves, but he's got too good of a skill set, too great of size. He signed a 3-year deal with the Lakers. He's obviously taken up some money on the salary cap. For him to be doing what he's done so far this year, and I feel like he's really been irrelevant since the first couple of games. Are you surprised he's got off to a slow start? And should I just pump the brakes and just kind of expect that there might be nights where Rui plays well, but for the most part, I shouldn't get too excited about this guy?
Yeah, so with Rui, and by the way, this is maybe a bigger picture topic, but all the guys the Lakers have paid essentially have underperformed. When we talk about D'Angelo Russell, we talk about Rui Hachimura now, Max Christie, Gabe Vincent. These are all the guys who've underperformed right now, which is not good. That's not a good spot to be in when the guys that you've shelled out the bucks for are the ones that are not producing. But Rui Hachimura, you're absolutely right. So JJ Redick coming into the season had a goal for Rui, and that was like, hey, you're a big dude. You're 6'8", you got a 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. We need you to help us on the boards. We need you crashing from the corners. JJ Redick talked about it a bunch of times. We need you helping us on the glass. And so you immediately, when you look at Rui, you see, oh, okay, he was in double-digit scoring the first 4 games of the season. He had 18, 14, 18, and 20. Since then, the 5 games he's played since then, single digits every single night. And that's an issue in and of itself. That's an issue right there. But the problem really is the rebounding. He went from putting up 7, 9, 10 boards to 5 or 4 boards in each of the last 5 games. That's just not enough out of him. Now, he did get sick. He had an illness that kept him out. So hopefully that was maybe part of the problem there, because you're right. The first few games we went, oh my gosh, JJ Redick has unlocked Rui Hachimura. Here he is. He's being physical in the paint. This is the guy that we've been looking for. And now he's reverted back to being kind of last season's Rui, which is still a good player, still a playable guy on an NBA roster, but not the difference maker that you need him to be. So we need Rui to go back to being the guy that we saw the first 4 games of the season. And I don't know exactly how you get that back, but he's sort of regressed and turned back into last season's Rui over the last few.
Yeah, I my confidence level, I think, in Rui, and by the way, watching him play, his confidence level, like you take the way you feel is the way a player makes you feel when you're watching him. And I think Rui, just too many times, I think there's some second guessing. I think there's shots that he takes, and is he confident in taking that shot, or are they just telling him, well, just take the shot? But do I believe he thinks he's going to make it? A lot of standing around sometimes, too much dribbling at times. He doesn't look comfortable, and that part is a real disappointment. And that's a great way for you to put it. And I sometimes forget that, Max Christie got paid, Gabe Vincent got paid. I talked too much probably about Rui getting paid and some of these other guys, but that's 4 guys: D'Lo, Rui, Gabe Vincent, and Max Christie, where your investment in all 4 of those players right now, not looking like great investments. Now, we'll see obviously how things change and what happens, but Rui's got to be something, and you can't have games. And last night, I think, is just one example of many examples. And I would give Rui the benefit of the doubt. The problem is, it's not like this is the first time we've seen this from Rui Hachimura. He's had moments where there are games where you're like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's fantastic. Look at the way he's contributing. Look at the way he's such a big part of this team. And there's other times where I'm like, why is Rui in the game? Or if Rui's on the bench, I don't even notice that he's on the bench. So obviously can't have that happen. I know Rui's been a kind of a frustrating one for a lot of Laker fans. You mentioned Max Christie. Did we just, man, I've done this now 2 years where I think I fell into the overhype of Max Christie, saying, no, this is going to be the year. And, a lot of Laker fans would blame Max Christie's lack of development on Darvin Ham. Well, he's not giving him a chance, and he's got to get more opportunities. JJ Redick has pretty much decided I'm going to have Max Christie sit right next to me. And this is when the Lakers are pretty thin. You know, if there's a time where you think Max Christie can get opportunities, you would think now's the time. What have you noticed with Christie when he's in games, and why do you think he's all of a sudden sitting on the pine?
So yeah, I mean it's a huge red flag that given how thin the Lakers are right now, he can't get on the floor, that he's out of the rotation, and rightfully so. And that's not JJ's making a mistake here. That's JJ, and like JJ is making the correct assessment. He's not been good. It's certainly concerning because again, you just gave him. This is where like the player options really hurt, but you gave him a 4-year deal with a player option at the end of it, and now again, it's only 10 games in. He's 21. Like maybe just turned 22. So he's extremely young, younger than Dalton Connect. Still plenty of time for him to develop, but it's just been bad from him. And I think you've got a few problems. Defensively, he's been okay, but not quite as good as you'd hope him to be. But you can see where right now, as a decision maker, with the ball in his hands, when it comes time to attack a closeout, put the ball on the floor, and maintain an advantage. LeBron drives, kicks out to Max Christie, defense scrambles, gets out to him. He needs to put the ball on the floor, get past his man, look up, and then either find the shot or find the pass that's going to maintain that advantage as another defender drops into the paint to stop him. He's been really bad at that. He's really struggling with his decision-making on the offensive end. And that's been a big problem because that's what teams, it's rare in today's NBA, or rarer than it used to be, that you see a simple drive, kick, wide open shooter. Teams have recognized that more, and they're cutting off that first driving kick. It's multiple driving kicks in order to get to the point where you get the open look. And Max has not been able to accomplish that. And so that's certainly problematic for the Lakers. And we look at how why is this team not a championship contender right now? If you have a guy playing at an MVP level, you have LeBron James, why is this team not a championship contender? It's because Max, D'Lo, Gabe, now Rui, the guys you've paid are not living up to expectations. JHS, that's it. So there's 4 guys who, if they're different players right now, are playing at a higher level, and if they're NBA rotation level role players, that changes a lot for this team. JHS, wasted draft pick, right? You declined his 3rd year, which is really rare. You declined his 3rd year option. There's 5 guys that should be producing at a higher level, and that's why this team looks so thin right now. Max, of course, being a big part of that because you paid him over the summer to be this guy. Alan, I see a lot of people making the THT comparison because the Lakers, and they did the same thing. They paid Max for what they think he's going to be rather than what he's done. The big difference being, man, Max Christie's skill set, it's a perfect fit in today's NBA if he can do it at a high enough level. That 3-and-D, can defend multiple positions type wing. He's just not been good enough out there. And I hope it clicks at some point, because if not, that's going to be a bad contract real quick if he doesn't turn things around. Again, it's way too early to say that's definitely going to be a bad contract. But yeah, not been good so far for Max Christie.
Yeah, listen, I think there's a couple things to take off of that. Well, you mentioned Jalen Hood-Schifino, and I think, right now you're seeing this. I start looking at the front office, and you're right, that number 17 pick was a wasted pick. A lot of people are excited about Dalton Connect. Fortunately for the Lakers, kind of fell to him. He fell to them at number 17. But these little moves that you make either in the offseason or you make through trades, or you end up signing guys, or you end up extending guys. Yeah, that could be the difference of you get 1 or 2 of those wrong. That could kind of bring your season to a halt. It can. Or you get 1 or 2 of those right. Now, all of a sudden you find yourself as a real contender in the Western Conference. You could look at some of the moves that the Mavs made last year at the trade deadline. And those weren't blockbuster moves, but it was those small moves that then got them to where they did. If I give the front office credit, the year that the Lakers went to the Western Conference Finals, they made some small moves, or you call medium-sized moves or so. And it's not just all doom and gloom for the Lakers front office, but you can't go 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 with some of these players that you have, because that's going to stick with you. You know, some of the depth that you're mentioning has a lot to do with it as well. And I think what you said, the 6-4 record is not a bad record. I don't think anybody's looking at that and saying, "Oh my gosh, the world's going to." By no means, that's not the point. But it's when you're watching, what do the games look like, and are there some red flags that are out there that you're going to be concerned about? Okay, well, what's that going to look like 20 games in, 25 games in, 30 games in? So we'll have to see. 10 games is such a small sample size, but I think it's fair to mention it.